About 20 years ago, I was asked to verify a story from Southwestern China's Yunnan province. It was about a Christian pastor who was executed during the infamous Cultural Revolution in China in 1973. While verifying his story, I realized he was from an ethnic minority tribe in southwestern China. I was from a scholar family in China's capital, Beijing. But there are similarities between us. My parents were persecuted to death as devoted Christians when I was a child. But Wang Zhiming was sentenced to death as a devoted Christian pastor around the same period of time. When I verified his story, I was told the night before he was killed, his wife was brought to prison to see him. Under close watch of armed guards, they were not allowed to speak in their own tribal language because those guards did not understand. That was broken-hearted last farewell between them as husband and wife. Next morning, many thousands of so-called revolutionary masses came to the county stadium to watch Wang Zhiming on trial. When he was tied up and brought in by armed soldiers, they shouted out, "Death to Wang Zhiming! Death to Wang Zhiming!" Wang Zhiming was denounced as a counter-revolutionary, using religion to oppose the Communist Party. He was sentenced to death and was executed publicly that day by fire squad. What did Wang Zhiming actually do? For many years, he traveled from one mountain village to another to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ among the tribal people. That was the only crime he committed. From mid-1960s to the beginning of 1980, there was not a single church open for the Chinese people. It was the darkest time in the history of China. In July 1998, chosen as one of 10 20th century Christian martyrs worldwide, the statue of Wang Zhiming was unveiled and stand above the western entrance of Westminster Abbey in London. About 100 years ago, Samuel Pollard, a British pioneer missionary, came to southwestern China's mountains, served among the tribal people in very primitive conditions. He set up a clinic and a school for them. He also invented a written script for them because they had never had a written language before. The New Testament was translated into this written script. Many tribal people were converted into Christianity. Among them was Wang Zhiming's father. When Wang Zhiming was a child, he studied in a Christian school and gradually became a dedicated Christian worker. Samuel Pollard worked in that place for 28 years. That's very extremely poverty place. He died there. He was buried there. Many local Christians want to be buried near his home. He was considered apostle to the tribal people of southwestern China. In 1966, during the Cultural Revolution, the Red Guards destroyed Pollard's tomb and scattered his bones in the bushes on the mountain slope. In their minds, Pollard was an imperialist, should be punished, even though he had died many years before. Much later, in 1985, Hu Jintao, who has just recently stepped down as the president of China and the general secretary of Chinese Communist Party, gave a talk about the contribution Pollard made to the lives of tribal people. He recognized Samuel Pollard's good work in the past. After that, Pollard's tomb was rebuilt and became a local preserved historical site. Today, this region is still one of the poorest in the country. When I came here about 20 years ago, the average annual income per person was under $20, while they lack school and basic health care. For people living in these poor mountain villages, life was full of hardship and difficulties. I feel the call to build a school and provide basic education for these children. I asked the villagers to get permission from the local government for me to build a school for them, but they were afraid to do so because they couldn't speak good Chinese and have always been looked down and treated unfairly. I decided to go by myself. When the local officials heard my standard Beijing accent, realized I'm from Beijing, they thought I must have important connections there. So they gave me permission to build a school in the village. After more than 2 years of work, the construction was completed. I went to the county government to register our school. Over there, I was questioned with the official saying, "We heard you have constructed a building with a cross on it. You must remove it. The government doesn't allow anyone to build a religious building without special permission." I said, "Yes, there is a cross on our building, but you know, where do people go when they are sick? They go to the place where there is a cross." The official responds, "Oh yes, that is Red Cross. That's hospital." I said to the official, "Our cross is in red color. We will provide free health service and free education." In this way, our building was permitted to stand. It took 9 months for the local government to complete their investigation so our school could be registered. We have named our school after Samuel Pollard, partially because the #1 leader of the country had recognized his good work. But in the county government documents, they named our school the Wenzong School, putting my names there. They must think this is more politically correct. China's constitution says citizens of People's Republic of China enjoy freedom, religious belief. At the same time, it forbids the use of religion to interfere with the education system of the state. When the Communist Party came into power in 1949, there were 15 Protestant Christian universities, 3 Catholic universities, and hundreds of church-related primary schools, middle schools, and high schools. Till 1951, the government closed all these schools. Since that time, no Christian schools has existed in China. Our school exists to provide free service to people in the poor mountain area. We know that we must follow the law and the government regulations. Otherwise, the local government can easily order our school to be closed at any time. Soon after our school began, the local government sent someone to our school. He told me, "The government assigned me here to help you." I answered, "We already have enough teachers. You are welcome to have a good rest here." He had nothing to do and rest for the whole week. In the second week, he came and asked me to assign some work to him. I told him again, "We have enough teachers. You just enjoy a good rest here." Our teachers were busy, but this guy felt very bored because there was nothing to interest him in this poor mountain village. When I told him to enjoy a good rest in the third week, he cannot control himself, but admitted to me, "I don't want to be here. They sent me here. The government official want me to find out if you all engage in religious activities in this school." I said to him, "Now you have seen what we have been doing. You can go back to report to the official." He answered, "I'm going back. Nobody wants to stay here in this remote, poor village. I will report to them, you are following the law. You are doing the good work." He left. But other uninvited guests from the government still come from time to time. They know only Christians are willing to provide free service in this mountain area. They come and warn us. The government doesn't allow anyone to teach the Bible and Christian principles to students in the classroom. As a non-government school, in order to keep going, we decided to have a curriculum exactly the same as a government school has. Through this approach, our school is still open. But by the same token, we face one special challenge like all schools in China are facing, which is no textbooks about moral education are available, except education in patriotism and communist morality. Indeed, no true morality without compassion based on religious teaching. A society can become indifferent, sick, and even dangerous. Let me give a few examples. On the first day of school, not a long time ago, in the city of Guangzhou, a group of 6-year-old primary school students were asked by a journalist, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" Some said, "Teachers." Others said, "Firefighters." But one said, "A corrupt official." Why? Because corrupt officials can get a lot of gifts. Today, corruption has become normal in China. For these innocent young children, there's no way for them to know what is right and what is wrong. On a busy market street, one day last year, a van struck a little girl. For the next 7 minutes, as she lay bleeding, 18 people walked or cycled past, but none of them lifted a finger to help her. Then another van ran over her before an old lady came to help. The circuit camera video was aired by the state TV and sparked public outrage both in the country and internationally. The plight of this little girl came to symbolize the public moral decay in today's China. On a winter cold morning, Just 6 months ago, an old garbage picker found 5 boys died in a dumpster bin on the city sidewalk, less than 100 meters away from sub-district government office. From very poor families and aged from 9 to 13. They had spent many days in the city streets in order to escape the freezing cold. They spent the night in the empty dumpster bin, set a charcoal fire to keep warm. Tragically, they suffocated to death during that cold night. There are about 150,000 street children according to China's official statistics. But UNICEF and UN organization claims about 1.5 million Chinese children lack necessary family care. Children are vulnerable. They need protection, care, and compassion. About 20 years ago, before passing away, Mother Teresa visited China 3 times, asking to open a home to take care of the poorest of the poor. But her request was turned down on all 3 occasions. Once, a party official even told her, "There are no poor in China." The order Mother Teresa started in Calcutta now has 5,000 religious sisters working in 140 countries. Unfortunately, until today, Mother Teresa's work is still not allowed in China. China is facing many challenges today. The gap between rich and poor has been widened greatly. The inequality of wealth distribution is unimaginable. Corruption exists on every level of the government and in every arena of the society, from top to the bottom. The moral crisis has aroused public outrage and outcry everywhere in the country. The government is really worried about the anger of millions and millions of people, which could cause social unrest. In the past, Chairman Mao condemned Confucius' philosophy as backwards and feudal. During the Cultural Revolution, the Red Guards destroyed Confucius' ancestral home and dug out the bones of his long-dead descendants for public display. But that was in the past. Today, eager to fill the vacuum left by the fading of Maoist ideology and to cure the prevalent social diseases, the party in recent years has been championing Confucianism as a national code of conduct, with special emphasis on teachings like respect for elderly, ethical behavior, social harmony, and obedience to authority. Not a long time ago, a huge statue of Confucius was put in Tiananmen Square, the ceremonial heart of China's capital. Surprisingly, within 4 months, this giant, 31 foot tall, about 10 meters tall, 17-ton weight philosopher quietly disappeared one night. Perhaps someone extremely powerful gave the order to move away that statue from the square for certain political reasons. Perhaps Confucius went to talk to the powerful leader, begged him, let him go, because Confucius knows he is only a philosopher, but not a religious god. He cannot provide a good remedy for the polluted spiritual environment in China. Long, long ago, as a Christian pastor, Wang Zhiming surely must have taught, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet, thou shalt not judge. Love your neighbors as yourself. Give a cup of cold water to the thirsty. Take care of widows and orphans, and be a good Samaritan. Today, at our school, we have responsibility to teach the same to our students. We believe if more and more people in China can get this kind of moral education, the country will be more loving and healthy. The world will be more compassionate. Our children will have a brighter future.
Thank you, Wenzong Wang.